Hello, family. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is winning and winning every day. Let's get into this slowly, carefully, and with receipts in hand, because the last 2 hours have been absolutely humiliating for certain commentators who swore Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, had no pull, no audience, and no relevance. Because here's what actually happened, not what the coping crowd is trying to spin. Meghan released two product options. Option 1, a standalone leather bookmark, priced accessibly, beautifully designed, stamped with her handwriting, understated, intimate, elegant. Option 2, a curated bundle, peppermint tea, sage honey with honeycomb, and the same leather bookmark, positioned as a premium, slow-living, giftable experience. Now here's the key point, and I want everyone to hear this clearly. The standalone leather bookmark sold out in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Not speculation, not exaggeration, not eventually. Gone. The bundled set? Still available, because intentional purchase meant to be considered, gifted, savored. And instead of this weakening the story, it actually strengthens it, because what sold out instantly was not tea, not honey, not packaging. It was Meghan. The bookmark is the emotional nucleus of the collection. The handwriting, the phrase, the symbolism, the intimacy. That's what people rushed for, and that is exactly why it disappeared first. Now let's dismantle the bad faith takes before they even finish typing. If Meghan lacked star power, nothing would have sold. If she were unpopular, there would be no rush. If she were over, there would be silence. Instead, 5 minutes sellout. That is demand, not hype. And demand is the one thing you cannot fake. Let's talk about what this actually represents, because some people are still struggling with the concept. This wasn't a royal engagement. This wasn't ceremonial relevance. This wasn't institutional support. This was Meghan, operating as a private citizen, entrepreneur, and cultural figure with no palace machinery, no taxpayer-funded PR, no obedient media chorus amplifying her every move, just her name. And that name moved people to act immediately. That's the difference between inherited relevance and earned influence. And this is where the jealousy creeps in, because influence terrifies people who rely on tradition rather than connection. Meghan doesn't command attention because she's titled. She commands attention because people are emotionally invested in her story. They've watched her be underestimated. They've watched her be smeared. They've watched her be scapegoated. And now they're watching her win quietly. And nothing enrages critics more than a woman who thrives without their permission. Let's talk about the product itself, because dismissing it as just a bookmark is both lazy and revealing. This wasn't novelty merch. This wasn't impulse clutter. This wasn't mass-produced nonsense. It was leather, minimalist design, neutral tones, her handwriting. This is quiet luxury, and that phrase alone should tell you why this worked. Quiet luxury doesn't scream. It doesn't chase trends. It doesn't need logos plastered everywhere. It whispers confidence. And Meghan has mastered that lane in a way very few public figures have. The bookmark saying "fell asleep here" is not accidental. It's intimate. It's human. It's gentle. It's personal. It speaks to readers, thinkers, journalers, people who value pause and reflection. In other words, not tabloid consumers. And yet, those same tabloids are now foaming at the mouth trying to explain why it sold out. Let's be honest, they understand perfectly. They just don't like the conclusion. Because the conclusion is this: Meghan has her own audience, and it doesn't need them. Now, about the bundle. Peppermint tea, sage honey with honeycomb, the leather bookmark. This is not designed for panic buying. It's designed for evenings, for gifting, for intention. A $64 bundle doesn't sell out in 5 minutes, and it's not supposed to. Luxury brands want you to consider. They want you to imagine the experience. They want you to slow down. And the fact that the bookmark is now only available through the bundle, that's not a problem. That's leverage. Because now, anyone who missed the standalone has exactly one option. That's how demand compounds. That's strategy, not failure. and the people pretending otherwise are either unserious or dishonest. Let's also talk about timing, because Meghan's timing is always intentional. She didn't announce this with fanfare. She didn't flood the media. She didn't beg for attention. She released it calmly and let the audience do the rest. That tells you something crucial. This outcome was expected. You don't limit inventory, price confidently, and remain unbothered unless you trust your reach. And Meghan clearly does. Now contrast this with the constant insistence that Meghan needs controversy to stay relevant. Where is the controversy here? Tea? Honey? A bookmark? And yet, the reaction was explosive, which tells you the truth they refuse to say out loud. People don't engage with Meghan because of drama, they engage because they care. And caring converts. That's the difference between attention and loyalty. Let's also address the elephant in the room. For years, Meghan has been compared to other royal women as if they are operating in the same arena. They are not. Ceremonial visibility is not influence. Scheduled appearances are not demand. Institutional protection is not popularity. Meghan exists outside that system now, and she is thriving precisely because of it. She doesn't need to be liked by the British press. She doesn't need approval from commentators who have made a career out of resenting her. Her audience is global. Her appeal is cultural. Her relevance is commercial. And that scares people who only function within a closed ecosystem. Because once you step outside it and succeed, it exposes how fragile the system really is. And let's be clear. This wasn't luck. This is the same woman whose fashion choices move markets, the same woman whose appearances spike ratings, the same woman whose absence generates headlines. Whether she speaks or stays silent, she dominates the conversation. And now, whether she sells or doesn't sell, the conversation still centers on her. That is star power. Not borrowed, not inherited, not enforced. Organic. Now watch how the narrative will try to shift. They'll say, well, it's because of her supporters, well, it's because of curiosity, well, it's because of scarcity, as if those things aren't indicators of influence. Supporters don't show up unless you've earned them. Curiosity doesn't lead to purchases unless there's trust. Scarcity only works when demand exists. Every excuse still circles back to the same truth. Meghan moves people, and no one comes close. Not because she's louder, not because she's everywhere, but because when she does something, people respond. 5 minutes proved that. So, to put this to bed once and for all, the standalone leather bookmark selling out in 5 minutes is not an accident. It's not hype. It's not coincidence. It's proof. Proof that Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is operating on a level that many simply cannot reach, no matter how much institutional backing they have. Proof that her brand is strong, intentional, and trusted. And proof that quiet wins hit louder than forced relevance ever could. And the funniest part, this was just a bookmark. No documentary, no interview, no controversy. Just leather, handwriting, and intention. And still, sold out. Imagine what happens next. So, to the critics scrambling for spin, to the commentators pretending this doesn't count, and to the media trying to downplay what just happened, you can argue with opinions, you can dismiss vibes, but you cannot argue with demand. And demand showed up in 5 minutes flat. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, remains exactly what she's always been, the star power. Unmatched, unbothered, and still several steps ahead. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.